to hear your thoughts on Blake Griffin and on the Nets.
Lloyd Vaught, this one's for you, baby!
What are you talking about? I would love to be seeing Bayless.
Fuck you, you're out of here.
So I'm just supposed to work with garbage here? There's no way I'm picking somebody from the Utah Jazz.
Welcome to another exciting episode of Please Dunk Responsibly. I'm one of your hosts, Ben Rice, with the Barley Me Podcast. With me, as always,
it's Phil Webster, ready to happen, like doing it live for the first time. Love it.
Not looking forward to this at all whatsoever. What Please Dunk Responsibly is, we're going to talk about basketball while drinking beers. We're going to compare players to beers, teams to breweries, talk about old school stuff, new school stuff. A lot of stuff's going on. There's no basketball being played, really, but there's things happening that are worth talking about.
Yes. No, and the best sound ever is the sound of a cracking beer. Like, that's the sexiest thing on the planet.
Yep, and you're fresh off a dry month, correct?
Oh, I am. Yeah, so this is much waited for, very happy to have. And I think what we're deciding on drinking tonight, at least to start, is Heretic's Evil3. Their triple IPA that is like amazing. And yeah, I'm sure we'll end up comparing it to some player that we feel is like not talked about enough and a fantastic triple IPA.
Well, here's what I would say. It's an Evil3. Everybody knows you need a super team of 3 players to get you there. Which one's the most evil NBA triples?
Ooh.
Let's find that out. That's what, or just the worst 3-point shooter. There's so many ways you can go. This podcast is so easy.
It's so easy. Why have we not done this before? This is amazing.
I don't know. Well, probably because this beer only comes out once a year and is a collaboration between Jamil Zainasheff of Heretic, aforementioned, Mitch Steele at New Realm Brewing, formerly of Stone Brewing, and Mikey McDole, who has since passed. Rest in peace, Mikey McDole.
Well, we're now for the homie.
Yep. Right down the gullet. Here we go.
So good, so balanced. I hate to compare it to the Warriors. That seems like a layup or a 3-shot for them. But it's so smooth, underrated, fantastic beer. Like, just people, if you never had it, get it. It's delicious. You gotta have it. Anytime you just get it.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot of movement going on with Mitch Steele. See, he went from California to like Georgia. So see, a lot of ball movement with the Warriors. That's a good comparison.
I mean, I think our local guy here, who's King Kong, has got a brewer who worked with Heretic. Their head brewer now is like killing it over there, and he's doing a lot of different like German style beers with them, and they're killing the game too. We got to get them on here. We're definitely in the works. Like, they're doing good. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what the worst threesome in the NBA is right now, and I just can't. It's not coming to me.
Right now.
Like, right now. The worst, like, big 3.
It'd have to be Washington, right? It has to be.
Oh, boy.
Beal, like, you would take those guys in any minute. You could pick any third, but they have 2 guys who would be all-stars at anybody's team, but they can't win with any, like, whatever they have left over. Like, if that was LeBron by himself with that garbage team, they'd be an 8 seed, and you have 2 guys who we think would easily make any other team a playoff team separately, cannot do it together. Like, cannot do it together. Like, I would give anything, obviously, as a Homer Kings fan, would love Russell Westbrook on the Kings. Like, I would, besides the contract, I would be like, yeah, somebody who could score, let's make it work. I'll give Bagley or whoever away. And they're horrible together. Like, they're just, and I don't want to say it's Beal, because it's like, I feel like Wall wasn't good with him either. Yeah. So that's why we were saying what we were saying at the beginning of the season, is that they're not a good match. Wall's damaged goods. He needs the ball. Beal needs the ball.
Yeah, so here's my Evil3. We pick on a whole lot on this podcast. It's the worst coached team in the NBA. It's the Minnesota Timberwolves, D'Angelo Russell, Karl Anthony Towns, Anthony Edwards. That's a terrible three.
Save Karl Anthony Towns. Save
KAT. Bring it. Get him out of there. Somebody please help this man. He's been through so much.
He's only 2 shades from Anthony Davis, and nobody's talking about it. He's drowning in Minnesota. Please, God, somebody help him. Get him on a good team.
Yeah. Another one we talk about a lot, the Charlotte Hornets with Terry Rozier, Gordon Hayward, and LaMelo Ball. Is that an evil 3? Like, we're just going to shoot threes? That's it?
They're probably bad for each other after the honeymoon. Like, this year, it's all fun and games because nobody knows what they do, and then they're going to just get embarrassed. Like, a couple of years, like, same thing with Anthony Davis. He was on the scene. He made the 8th seed a couple times, got embarrassed by the first or second seed, whoever it is, Lakers, so, like whoever, like Houston, Warriors. You're not getting past them. I don't care how good you are. And so they're cute. They're a cute team. But they're not doing. They're not doing any damage.
They're so cute.
They don't have
anybody
that
in your pocket.
You want them to be, this is what the NBA is. Like, you want it to be a team basketball team, and there's like, yeah, they're great. They all pass to each other. Everybody gets a bajillion assists. But then it's like, when you need to get a basket, who's the guy on that team that's supposed to do it? Like, it won't be. Rozier was on a really good Celtics team. They couldn't decide who was going to be the guy, and then that's when he gets shipped off 2 years later. It's like, yeah, like, you don't have a guy who's making the shots on that team yet.
That's enough of this. That's our evil threes. A lot of nothing has happened in the NBA. We've got a few major events, though. We've got the All-Star game that happened.
We talked about All-Star Weekend. Steph Curry pretty much stole it this year. And did he ruin the three-point shot is what we were getting at, is like, has he made it where they're already going to consider him and Lillard like changing the three-point shot into some type of way that values the three-point shot instead of just who shoots the most threes wins? Now, obviously, we saw with the Lakers last year and Miami making it that it's not about that. There's still some old school teams there that play defense, and you got to make enough shots, like 2-pointers, to really make it in the half court game. But the Warriors have also shown you can break it. Like, you can just completely break the system. And if you have 2 outstanding shooters on a team, there's more likely than not you're going to win the championship, because like, shooters just don't die and they don't get hurt that often. You don't have to deal with the contact. You can make all your half-court threes that you want, but you're going to get tired, and you have
but he doesn't.
And other people have to shoot.
But he doesn't get tired, though. He never gets tired. He just keeps going.
True.
He's out of
control. Do you
control.
feel like he's getting beefier? Because there's no doubt that dude's getting beefier.
I mean, at some point you got to put it on. That's just how aging works. You're going to get fatter, you're going to get ripped, and there's no in between. You can't just stay where you are.
He's got to gain like 15 pounds of muscle now. Like, I mean, and to be able to shoot like that. I mean, we talked about this in our day, like being shooters that like you lifted and then you went to go shoot immediately because you didn't want, you're going to lose touch because you're lifting. So like, yeah, man, like so for what he does and how many times, I feel like he's going to be Tiger Woods. Like, you shoot so often and something like that, there's no way you don't have like ligament injuries or something like that in your elbow. Like, eventually, like, you practice that often, shoot that often, like shooting thousands of times just in practice. Like, it broke down like Tiger, right? Like, so it's got to break down Curry eventually, you would assume. But that guy is, he's doing all the right things, and he's still stellar player, but he clearly needs a teammate, just like LeBron, just like anybody. They need help. I don't know about Durant help, where you got like 4 guys, which we didn't even talk about them getting Blake Griffin. And
we haven't even gotten there.
We talked about him at the beginning of the season
as where he was going and how if Harden hadn't been traded, he'd have cleaned up in Houston with Harden, but
How do you feel?
Now he's going to clean up with Harden in Brooklyn.
Ugh.
So it's just so I may have been wrong earlier about Blake being a great fit on Houston, but only because Harden went to Brooklyn, so he had to go to Brooklyn. So technically, I'm still right. That's what's important.
You were right about both things,
I'm
and
always
I
right.
You to be wrong.
Signed our GMs. I'm always right. Who do you need to draft? Who do you need to trade for? What's this free agent thing?
GMs, as we say on here.
Yeah.
Like you're right more often than not. The powers go to the evil guys as much as I'm like, no, they're going to even it out.
Never going to happen.
This all trade kind of thing happened. And no, he just fell right to the Nets after waivers. Nobody picked him up. It's all an inside game.
Yeah.
Nobody cares anymore. I hate this stupid league. There's 3 teams that get to be involved. And then it's like, oh, how'd the Miami Heat get here? Like, what the hell?
You can't fix everything, but you can fix about 80% of stuff.
You can fix about anything except the thing that's going to happen. Like, if they make it that obvious, you just have to let it in. But it's like, other than that, it's like, where it's supposed to be Milwaukee and the Lakers. But, look what happened.
Oh, boy. Turns out Giannis does not do well when everybody's focused on him only. And his other players are like, wait, what? We got to actually do stuff?
You're not going to let him dunk 25 times a game in the playoffs? That's insane. What are you talking about?
Yeah. No. You still got to be built to win. You can't just be like, we got these stars. The star power wins. You still got, because like defense exists, unfortunately.
Right.
Phil, since we're talking about the All-Star game a little bit here, how do you feel about the recent transition from conferences to captains that are drafting? What do you think about that?
I think that it's where we are.
Yeah.
Whatever will create like some type of division, I think is what everybody wants. That's good theater, is that the other team hates this team. They really want to beat them. And I think that's all we want is to see, you don't want to see people just like laying it up, but they ran it on them, and Curry
ran it on them.
Curry just rained. They just couldn't get back. It was 20 points, and you just don't have anybody like that on the other side because Durant didn't play, so that also played a factor.
Yeah.
But I would like to see what would have happened if Durant was healthy.
Right. Also,
and this was happening.
Do you think the league was like, we're going to let Durant stay a captain so we can see what happens with LeBron and Giannis on the same team? Just because, you never know what's going to happen in like 2 or 3 years. What would it look like if Giannis and LeBron were on the same team? I'm just spitballing here. I'm an NBA executive.
There's no way they're not embracing that. Like, they're embracing the fact that this is what they're doing now. They're creating super teams, and we're the telestrator of these reality basketball league. Like, that's what it's become. And I think instead of fighting it, they're just going with it. Like, I think they're just going to say, like, what's happening is the future. And we're not LeBron. LeBron's going to be Brady. He's going to play till he's 45.
Yep.
And we're just going to have to deal with he's going to orchestrate where he goes, who he plays with. Because at the end of the day, no matter how much people shame him for his record in the finals, that dude's been to the finals 10 years.
In a row. Like, almost in a row.
10 years.
Yeah.
So it's like, why wouldn't you play? Like, as much as you want to downplay, like, or tell him, like, he sucks because of that, it's like, he keeps you one series away from winning the championship most years.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't you join him when you have a chance to do it? You can join Durant all you want, but it's like that dude doesn't have a record that LeBron has. Like, he's gonna get you there. Like, with less, most likely he'll get you there with less. So it'll be interesting to see. Like, I'm really excited. But yeah, like they're gonna let LeBron basically dictate the league. I don't care what anybody says. That dude, like we talked about before in the podcast, is that's why he's the face, is because that dude dictates. He's front and center. He answers questions. He starts schools. He's the perfect face. As much as you want him not to be like the leader of the West or whatever, or the East or whatever he ends up being, it's like that dude won every single year he's been. Yeah. He gets to build his own team. That's the power. Yeah. Can you imagine
he's already got experience? Let him be the captain every year.
Could you imagine if he didn't have a salary cap? Like, good Lord. Like,
oh, man, I would love a league with no salary cap. I want to know what that league looks like. It's like,
I mean, I don't think it's any different than it is really.
That's
like,
true. They all agree to like take pay cuts here. Like, I'll take the most money this year. You take the most money next year. That's how our contracts will work out. We'll do all the things.
How many teams are legitimately going to win the title in the NBA? Four? 5, maybe?
5 on a good year for fans.
On a good year. And so, like, if you think about it, like, what would be the difference if you just made 4 super teams and just said...
Everybody else, you're just there. You're the Washington Generals of the NBA. It's 24 of you. Good luck out there.
You're there, but you have zero chance of winning.
Also, we altered the odds for the lottery, so you have no way out. You have no way to get in there. We know it's for like competitive balance, so people couldn't tank, but also now there's no way out of mediocrity. Congratulations, we're doing great things.
You have the Toronto version where it's like everybody gets hurt on the Warriors, and you happen to have one really good player. You can do it, but
I still
9 times out of 10, that's not happening.
I still want Kawhi to be that guy. The guy who just jumps from team to team and wins championships. It's like, all right, cool, next. I would love an NBA mercenary. I think Kawhi is appropriately designed for it. He's emotionless. He's great on every level. The only problem is his goddamn health. If he was healthy, man, Kawhi would be the guy.
But it's amazing his powers that he's able to do. That's also unheard of as LeBron does what he does. Kawhi was able to, in a short period of time, just say like, hey, like I can only play effectively 60 games a year, but I need you to pay me like a guy who plays 82 plus
the playoffs.
Yes, plus the playoffs. Like, I need you to pay me as that. And people were, and he knew people would be willing to do that for one championship because of what he did with the Raptors. Yeah. He can go anywhere he wanted at that point. Could you
imagine a world where Tom Brady is like, I'm only playing 12 games.
Yes.
Pay me. You only need to win. You only need to win 11 games to get in the playoffs. I'm only playing 12. I'm 44 years old.
9. I only need to win 9 to get into the wild card. That's all I need.
I'll play 12. We'll see what happens. Like, get a good backup. Get a pretty good backup. I'm trying to get somebody a career here. You know, I'm going to retire someday. I'm going to break my leg in devastating fashion at some point. I'm going to forget how to throw. My collarbones are going to go. Just get a young guy. He gets 4 games a year to show his stuff. And like, now you're set for the future. Look at me. I'm so kind. I'm Tom Brady.
It's literally crazy, and it frustrated me more than anything. The fact that guy is so right on so many levels because he won with a terrible record in the regular season. It's like, dude, we just have to make it. I will get us the rest of the way.
Tom Brady. Do you understand?
I'm Tom Brady. It's like, you can't argue with it, even though the statistics would say that's not possible.
But I'm Tom Brady. I don't know. The clutch gene is real. The like ability to handle pressure is real, and I have proven it for 2 decades. I'm Tom Brady.
It's really dumb.
You know what I love? You know what I love in the scenario of Kawhi Leonard being the NBA's Tom Brady is that Paul George is that backup. They're like, give him 20 games to shine. See what happens.
If LeBron wins one more, he might be the Tom Brady. Where it's like, you're just like, dude, like, give him, like, I don't care what the hate is. Like, that dude just keeps winning and you can't do anything about it. Like, again, it's not because he can't win the whole thing, but he gets you one step away. Like, he gets you one step away. What franchise wouldn't want that?
And let me just say this. LeBron James beat the Giants once. I'm just going to say it. He beat the Giants once. And it was in a record-setting year. Like, the Patriots were 16-0 and lost in the Super Bowl. And LeBron's like, oh, did you win 73 games, the most games an NBA team's ever won? Yeah, guess what? You ain't getting it. I'm the Giants. Wait, is he Eli Manning? Is LeBron James not Tom Brady, but Eli Manning?
That is like the Patriots being up 42-7 in the third quarter, and then Eli just throwing 5 touchdown passes. Like, that's what he did. They were up 3-1.
There were 5 touchdown catches that were pinned against the goalpost and against the helmet.
One game, he didn't just win 2. He won 3 straight games after getting blown out of 2 of them. Yeah. Like, insane.
Also,
insane. And played defense.
Easy comparison here. David Tyree has that catch against the helmet catch. LeBron James, he's pinning it against his helmet. LeBron James has a chase down block against Iguodala, pinned against the backboard. He's Eli Manning. LeBron James is Eli. I know we're supposed to compare him to Beers.
If Eli Manning also
was
deflected
was actually
almost a touchdown pass or something like that, yes. But I get the analogy. Yes,
it's a very weak analogy.
Is LeBron James. That's what we're getting at. Is like Eli is LeBron James. He's not getting his due.
Yeah.
He's the best team in the league who should have won. He beat him. Everybody says it's a fluke. He wins again against another similar team 2 years later. Still doesn't get any love because it's New York and they're just fucking spoiled brats. But we know what's best because we're nonsense. We only tell the truth. This is what we do.
We only speak truth to power. All right.
That's all we do.
All right. I have one more conspiracy theory. The NBA changed from conference competition to drafting with captains because the Eastern Conference had no worthy all-stars. And they need to be like, look, we can't just have 125 to 43. We can't allow it. This conference is so bad. We can't do this.
They just don't have marketable ones. Is Jimmy Butler an all-star? He was clearly the leader of the Miami Heat.
Right.
He's the best player on that team.
Right.
But he has nothing. He has no cachet. He just gets in there, gets 10 points, 10 rebounds, and he calls it a day. But this guy got them to the goddamn finals last year. But it's like, yeah, would anybody bet that he'd do it again?
No.
He wasn't even an all-star. He shouldn't have been. We had to beg for Adebayo to be an all-star.
Yep.
Like, I mean, he's not, it's like the conundrum of the century. It's like, what is Jimmy Butler? Like, we could just have this discussion. We should have a t-shirt. What is Jimmy Butler? Because
best.
He is
lunch fantastic. Bucket, hard hat, get on the court. Yes. Jimmy Butler. Put all-star. In the work. What needs to be done today? That's the thing. What needs to be done today? It doesn't matter all season long. What needs to be done today? If
Jimmy Butler's on LeBron's team, they win.
Oh, no, not even close.
But by himself, who does he beat?
He's not enough. He's a utility guy.
Does he beat the Warriors?
No.
Does he beat Curry and the Warriors?
No.
So what is...
He fills in gaps. He's a utility worker. He's like, hey, man, I'm going to be there every day. I'm going to put my hard hat on. I got my lunch bucket. Let's go. This is old school animated cartoon construction site.
I can't shoot, but I can grab rebounds. I play defense, and I get layups.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, that was great in 1980.
Yeah.
Like, who does?
Oh, like Jimmy Butler in the 80s? Going off.
Dude, he's going off.
Move him back to the 80s. Good luck, everybody in the 80s.
He's a top 5 player. He's a top 5 player in the 80s.
I mean, granted, we're giving him today's strength and conditioning, like everything like that. All the advantages of current.
Grant Hill was a better shooter, but he couldn't stay healthy.
Yeah.
Grant Hill was a better overall player, but like Jimmy Butler does more with less, right? Yeah. And the conundrum, like it's like this guy's so good. He's like the anti-Russell Westbrook. He makes everybody better. So everybody goes up, but he doesn't have the numbers to validate who he is. Like, what? Who are you?
Westbrook does the least with the most.
Yes.
And he does the most with the least. That's really what it is.
Milkshake IPA. He's the anti-milkshake IPA.
A sour.
I don't know what that is.
We've already talked about it. A good milkshake IPA is a sour. You're just throwing all these, 40, 50, 60 buck a pound hops in there, then burying them under all this fruit and lactose. What are you doing? Why'd you pay this money for all this stuff?
Yeah,
you don't even. No one's picking it up.
Yeah, why did you put all this fruit puree in there? Like, why did you put all that in? Like, it's just gonna be a sour now. You're just like, yeah, well.
I decided to throw a bunch of hops in there and call it an IPA for no fucking reason.
People are gonna buy it.
It's all flash. People are gonna buy it. They're gonna love it. They're gonna love it or hate it. Westbrook.
No, hate it. Either way, we're gonna get
this podcast started.
We're gonna get likes on Facebook. That's all that matters.
Yeah. So I'm gonna just do some positives about the All-Star game. My favorite thing about the All-Star game is renowned All-Star snub Dame Lillard just shooting from half court in the first half.
And how many people knew that was going in? 90% of the people that were there knew he was going to ice it on that. Like, who makes it from half court just throwing it up?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, that's going in.
That's the dirtiest. It's like, yeah, Dame started the show by draining all these, like, half court shots, missing a few, but, like, draining a pretty decent percentage for half court for Dame. And then, like, Steph Curry's like, yeah, but I'm still Steph Curry, so I'm going to take it.
Right. You're not outshining me, but good try.
I'm going to take this from you. Because that's what I do. I'm the greatest shooter of all time. You may think it's like, there's a reason you're not a starter, Dame. This is game.
This is why he picked me over you. Oh, there's no doubt that that's what Curry's thing was like, because he took over basically in the second quarter, just making like outrageous amounts. I wish we had done, which is what we had talked about, is doing a live feed.
Yeah, it was too late. The game's already starting. We're like, oh, we should have done this.
But it was the way Curry just took over. Again, I kept on thinking like this was not really a game because Durant wasn't going to be there. So I knew it was going to kind of be the way it was. But to see at my age now, seeing what Curry does, and we talked about him too. We compared him to a beer, a fantastic beer by DPOY, a collab, right? Basically,
yeah, the collage. Beautiful.
That's who he is. Like, that dude is amazing. He doesn't have the shoulders. It's not his own fault. Like, it's
but
like
he's working on it, as mentioned.
He can't be. Yeah, he's working on it with roids, but he's not.
Hey, whoa!
He'll be LeBron's size. You have to be 6'11", but say you're 6'9", and then also just be doing it since you were 12 years old, and then you'll be perfect. But like, the way LeBron handles himself eloquently, physically, and knowing the pressure that he's always had his whole life, it's like now, and again, he has 4 titles and he still feels that pressure. He still knows he's not good enough. And the fact that he keeps pushing himself just shows like him, Brady, Kobe, Michael Jordan, all these guys, of where it's like Michael Jordan's different because it's like he didn't really have anybody to compare himself to because he was so much different than everybody else that he immediately became the GOAT because he was just doing things that nobody else. It wasn't because he was taller than everybody else. It was just how athletic he was than everybody else that showed, and the fact of his whole trial to victory. And then it was like, oh, he runs into the Pistons. Oh, he runs into the Knicks and blah, blah, blah. And then eventually he wins and then he can't stop winning. It was all of those things that make him the GOAT, which is fine. Like, I mean, I get that. That's why he is. It's like, just don't throw things in LeBron's face like, oh, you don't have enough rings. Oh, you're like this in the finals, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, no, it's like they're different journeys. There's no way LeBron could have
the same career.
It's not. He had nothing, like Jordan, again, had nothing to be compared to. Nobody was like, you're not Wilt.
Yeah.
Like, you'll never be
Jerry
Wilt.
West, the guy who famously didn't win a championship for...
How dare you even think... Yeah, nobody was doing that to him, right? Like they are the LeBron in high school, telling him, you're not going to be the next Michael. Just stop it right now.
Yeah.
Like,
and I
then
think
the fact to do what he did and still win 4 championships, like, that's insane. It's just an insane life. And the fact that we're at this point where we're nitpicking because it's like, oh, you didn't win 6 other times where you were really close, is just where we are as an American society. Because
it doesn't stand up. You can't be like, well, you're no Bill Russell. I mean, the guy who barely scored and just blocked players because he was tall. I mean, Bill Russell was a phenomenal defender you could put in the game today. At his age, you could put him in the game today and he'd clean up on defense. But he wasn't an offensive power. And it's like, can you imagine telling LeBron James, you're no Bob Cousy? Like, you can't say it.
You get 8 assists a game, but you're no Bob Cousy. Like,
it doesn't even sound right. You can't do it. The difference between the 50s, 60s, 70s, and the 90s.
They're not the same person, but it's like we have to do it. And it's like he's not Magic because he didn't have the teammates that Magic had. Magic went to a franchise.
Yeah.
It's not the same thing. The one thing he had against him was that he had Bird, who also went to an historic franchise. Yeah. That's what made it perfect.
With 3 Hall of Famers besides him.
Bird. If LeBron had a Bird, that's what would change everything. But everybody wanted Durant to be the Bird, and then he beat him outright. And then they never got back, and he just jumped ship.
Yeah.
So he really didn't have like somebody he was constantly facing. So it's always like LeBron gets watered down, but it's like, dude, if you made one step away 10 times, everybody would take that if you won 4 out of 10.
Yeah.
Because of Tim, we're going to be like, oh, you're only 4 and 6. Who's going to beat Michael Jordan? What's the tandem that's going to beat Jordan and Pippen? And that became all that.
Everybody wanted, and it's like, you can't just recreate that in like by hope and dreams.
You can't. It's not fair. Another thing we talked about on our podcast is like good teams that couldn't get it done. These teams were loaded.
Yeah.
Indiana, the Jazz, like teams that should have won on any other given night.
Run DMC didn't get anywhere, and they were beloved.
Yes, and you just run into like they had to go through a gamut. They weren't bad teams. They beat the Jazz beat Houston. They beat the Spurs. They beat really good teams. Really good teams.
Yeah, and then Jordan pushes off, and it's over.
Yeah. And nobody really won until Jordan left. And then Houston and then Olajuwon kind of got his due. Olajuwon wouldn't be who he was if Jordan didn't leave. Like, there's no way. Like, he would have gotten what he deserves as being one of the best centers of all time because he won 2 championships if Jordan doesn't leave for 2 years. There's no way he gets it. Like,
yeah, none. It's crazy.
It's so crazy, man. Like, but it's like, that's what we have as history. But it's like, that's how we have to do it. It's like, don't tell me like the Bills of NFL who went to the Super Bowl 4 years or the Nets for the basketball went back to back. Like, don't tell me they're not good because they didn't win. Like, so that means they're garbage.
It's like,
dude, yeah, you beat 9 out of 10 teams. Like, it's not your fault. Like, it's how it works. That's the whole point. Doesn't mean you're trash now. So it's like there should be something that respects those types of teams. Yeah. Those teams are hard to come by. Everybody would give any chance to just be in the finals, but it's easy to just shit on somebody because he's at the top of his game.
And for the Bills, like teams that lose the final game, generally don't come back even to the playoffs. Yes, and they're like, we kept coming back and being like this close to winning, losing. That should devastate you. You should never play again.
How do you do it 4 years in a row?
Now, to be fair, they did never go back again to the playoffs.
You should get a trophy for that. Somebody should get a trophy for that.
Yeah.
Nobody does that. Like, and again, it shouldn't be anything against you. It doesn't mean that it's not really hard to win the NFL championship. That's why the NFL is so beloved, is because of how hard it is to do it. But do it 4 years in a row and almost get there, but then you're like shamed because of it. Yeah. Game, you missed field goals in 2 out of the 4 that would have made you win the game. Like, it's not fair.
To be fair, the Bills got their due. Everybody got into the Hall of Fame. Bruce Smith got in, Thurman Thomas got in, Andre Reed eventually got in, Jim Kelly got in. Like, people understood and respected over time what had happened.
Reed, Bibby is close.
Oh, yeah. Don Beebe.
Fantastic team, dude. Dude, they should have won. It's not even close. Like, that team is better than 90% of teams who made it to. They're definitely better than the San Diego Chargers who played the Niners. They're horrible. Like, they would have wiped them off the fucking planet with Steve Humphries or Stan Humphries and Junior Seau, where Steve Young didn't even play in the second half of the game because they just blew the doors off of them. But like, that's what I'm talking about. It's like the Bills don't get their due because they lost, but it's like they were a killer team, dude. Like killer team. Like most of these NBA teams don't get it either because that road is just as hard. You got to beat four really good teams in a row, probably playing close to like 21 games. That's insane, dude. Like, we're playing 18, 20 games, and you're talking about LeBron, who's won like 4 of these out of 10, when we want to compare him to Kobe, who was like 5-4 or 5-3. Like, you don't even get to the finals as much as he does. Like, it's not even close. Like,
I also want to just go on the Bills real quick.
Don Beebe does not get enough love. That dude is legit.
Yeah.
I'm right here. Culinary Lando, get at me. Whatever. Don Beebe is a shit. He should be in the Hall of Fame.
Speaking of the Hall of Fame, Basketball Hall of Fame announcements got made. I should point out it's not the NBA Hall of Fame because the Basketball Hall of Fame is the worst Hall of Fame that has ever existed. Yeah, the 2021 Hall of Fame finalists came out for the Basketball Hall of Fame, which we should point out is not the NBA Hall of Fame. You can get in there for your college work. Yeah, WNBA, you're playing international competition.
Coaching internationally, overseas, whatever.
So it's a weird one. This year's is also pretty weird.
Bosh got a finals list, yeah.
Yeah, I got a finalist list here. We're going to compare some of them to beers, because that's what we do on Please Dunk Responsibly. Number 1, we got Boston Celtic for life until they said, hey, get out of here, you're old. And the Nets were like, we don't think he's that old. We'll try it. Paul Pierce.
Yeah, he's a Hall of Famer. He is.
Is he?
No. But in NBA standards, he is.
I think for basketball standards.
Pretty much a lifer. Boston's longevity, 10 years in Boston, won a championship, was their
second leading scorer.
Why he was there.
Second, I believe.
Second leading scorer, yes. Obviously Antoine Walker, no. Like that's
Antoine Walker doesn't know.
But it's like you can tell that like they were drafted like a year apart, I think. And you can tell like obviously the different paths, but I'll give it to Paul Pierce. I get like Paul Pierce wishes he was better than he was or more regarded than he was. But he's not LeBron, so get out of here. But you're good in Boston. You're good in your circle.
Yeah, he's look, he gets the job done. There's some ugly patches. You know, he had some fights with the media, with his teammates. But to be fair, his coach was garbage and his teammates were trash. He wasn't hyper athletic. He had old man game from day one. So for me,
he was doing the jump back 3 before anybody, and I give him that.
Yeah.
I give him that.
I mean, I respect the game. I respect the fact that he made it in the NBA. Like, if you had old man game at 23, chances are you were washed out of the league because you just couldn't hang. But he hung because he was crafty. He was smart. He knew what he was doing.
He was smart.
He was athletic enough.
Nobody was shooting threes. He was the offensive 3-point shooter that nobody thought was that, like, you can win with that guy. The Celtics built around him. Instead of like getting rid of him, they built around him to make him good.
A lot of teams probably would have built around Antoine Walker back then, but for some reason they're like, no, we're going to go with Paul Pierce, and they made the right choice. Over time, that proved to be right.
They made the right choice. It's weird, but they did. They made the right choice. They didn't go with the power forward or small like the guy with the inside game. They went with the guy with the outside game.
Yeah, and so for me, Paul Pierce is Monkey Knife Fight. Solid beer. Spent a lot of years of Rubicon. And then Tower picked it up. Like, Tower, why'd you pick up Monkey Knife Fight? I get the history, but I feel like, for me, the ideal trade...
They're selling out of places with that.
Yeah.
They're selling out of places.
Exactly. Get the ticket sales in, just like the Nets were doing. We just need ticket sales. I spent a lot of money on this team.
It's probably their best beer. It's probably, and again, there's no slight against them, but it's like that probably... wasn't a bad acquisition because it becomes their beer, right? Like, just like
it's a weird acquisition.
Whoever getting like, a marginal superstar, it's better than not having one at all.
Yeah. See, for me, I wish that Monkey Knife Fight had gone. If it was me and I was owner of a brewery that was a classic brewery, I would have bought it if I was Lost Coast. I would love Lost Coast buying the IP of Rubicon.
Oh, yes.
So in this case, that's the Lakers. It's like, hey, the Celtics and the Lakers. I would love, because Paul Pierce was from that era. He was an LA guy. If he finished his career on the Lakers, that would have been killer. That would have been great. And the same thing, Lost Coast started the same year as Rubicon. They were having the one thing that Lost Coast didn't have at the time was a really strong pale and IPA profile. I thought that would be a good way to bring in the history of Rubicon and bring it in. But it gives Lost Coast a chance to expand into the Sacramento market a little bit more. But anyway, that's my pick. Paul Pierce, Monkey Knife Fight. Who you got for Paul Pierce?
If I had to pick one, I would say, I think we hit Knee Deep last week. But I would say, God, I don't want to say Hautologist.
Oh, you put him in a double. That. Okay.
It's one of those, it's like a single IPA, or pale ale that's really, it's really better than we thought it would be, but it's not fantastic. It's not fantastic where it blows your mind, but you're just like, I see it.
I know what you're talking about. Okay.
It deserves its credit where it belongs, but it's not, nobody's getting a pale ale. It's like 1,500 from Drake's. No, I would say that.
Okay, that's pretty good. Check this one out. Knee Deep Citra Extra Pale Ale. Oh, that beer's a killer. It's a secret killer.
Yeah, it's a good beer. But it's
how much do you know?
Going to tell somebody that they need to stop everything and go get it?
No.
It is what it is. It's great, but it's what are you going to do? It's like a really good Kolsch. It's this is so great. But it's what are we going to do with this? Or am I going to market that we should all get Kolsch's? I don't know. I don't want to tell everybody what to do, but this is really good. So it's where do you put it in the pantheon of beers? I feel right now, it's obviously we talked about it before. It's triple IPAs, double IPAs,
and pale ales.
And then pale ale, and then close is slow, Pilsners.
Mm-hmm.
Czech Pils right now is really catching up.
Those hoppy pills.
10 degrees from Urban Roots, 12 degrees. Those beers are crushing the scene. And so those are coming back. And one of the things I like too is Yes Chef by Chapman, which I think I talked about before. They are San Diego-ish, but they're down South California, but they're crushing it. And that's a great beer. And I love it because it obviously speaks to my profession, but two, it's not something that's gonna blow your top off and like make you not be able to work. It's something that you can clearly work with, but it's like tasty, like refreshing. You want to come back later. Like it's so great. And again, like there's not a lot of homages to chefs and what they do. So it's like, I love that there's just like a standard chef beer where you could be like, yeah, I mean, like this, and it's like, it's not going to put you out. It's just going to, keep you going. Yeah. It's going to give you something you're like, you know what? There is life outside of this thing.
And if you appreciate beer, if you appreciate basketball, you appreciate Paul Pierce. Boom. Done. Next.
Appreciate it, man. That's how to wrap in them both. This is why I bring you everywhere I go.
Yeah. Next candidate, Chris Bosh. All-star pretty much from season 2 on. Put up a decent career, shortened by heart problems.
Yes.
I mean, making Chris Bosh a beer.
He's a good person. That's the problem.
He's a good player.
And a good thing. And a bad thing.
I enjoyed the existence of Chris Bosh in the league. I never got wowed by a Chris Bosh. I was like, yeah. I mean, I get why people like him.
he falls into the Boogie Cousins category where it's like, are you just a good guy on a bad team? Or are you like transcendent where it's like, you're only this because nobody's as good as you? Or are you better? And then it's like, how much did you sacrifice to be on the Heat? Really? Like, or is that your guy? Like, I know he had to change his game.
Yeah.
Obviously. But you guys all chose to get together too. So it's like this very weird dynamic. But he saved their asses like a ton. And he ended up with Kevin Love later on in life. So I gotta say, yeah, like it's again, the NBA Hall of Fame is not the NFL because they don't put college players in it. They have their own. They don't put anybody else. So it's like, it's really watered down. Yeah. So it doesn't take a lot to get in. So it's like, it's really hard to say like he doesn't get in because it's like, dude, this dude was a professional.
It's your first ballot
for 12 years.
I guess
if you're an athlete for 10 to 12 years, you're probably in. Like Chris Mullin made it. Like, I'm not saying Chris Mullin's like a scrub, but he's in the Hall of Fame and he hasn't really done anything.
Yeah, there's no credentials. There's no MVPs. There's not a lot of All-Star games. There's not even top 5 finishes.
In the Hall of Fame.
And he's a decent 3-point shooter overall, but not one of the best.
He's fine, but it's like, yeah, would you be like, I want my kid to model himself after Chris Mullin? Like, not really.
No.
Like, it's like, of course, if he has that career after aspirating for something else, sure.
Nothing wrong with being a Chris Mullin, but Hall of Fame Chris Mullin?
Nobody wants you to be a backup quarterback for 12 years. Like, nobody, like, if you end up being
a shame.
Fantastic, but nobody's saying you should do that. That should be your goal. Like, that's the thing with Chris Mullin. Is like, yeah, he had a couple good runs with some really good players that would have shocked the world if they had won, but he wasn't transcendent.
You know, we were just talking about the 12-year backups. Like, nobody wants to be Daniel Chase, but if somebody said, hey, be Daniel Chase, you'd be like, I mean, I'd be a backup quarterback.
If my son tells me
I set an NCAA record in passing yards, and then I've made millions of dollars while barely playing. Sounds fun.
I tell my son that, and he's like, I never get hit, but I make $12 million a year as a backup. How am I gonna say no to that? Like, take all the money, take it all. Like.
Yeah, but I don't think Chris Bosh is the first ballot Hall of Famer. Paul Pierce might be a first ballot, but I'd say 2 or 3. But Chris Bosh as a beer is a fucking challenge.
Oh, Chris Bosh to me as a beer is a hazy IPA with with just a random name. Like, that doesn't come back again. He's a monkish top seller. You're going to be like, oh my God, that dude has like 2 rings. And you're going to be like, yeah, he has 2 rings. Great. It doesn't make any sense.
So you're like, he's Adam Morrison. That's what I'm hearing. That guy has 2 rings. Yeah,
he's an undercover Adam Morrison.
That's so mean. That's such a mean way to go.
He was more, which is unfair.
Yeah.
It's unfair.
It's an unfair.
Yes. Like he's the Eli Manning of the NBA.
Here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say that he's... this is so mean.
How is he not the Eli Manning? I mean, how is he not?
Look.
Nobody gives him credit for anything.
Yeah, somebody else did
championships.
It. But for beer, I'm going to say he's just the porter they have at winter at any brewery. Hey, you got a porter. Cool. Just a thin porter. You're like, I'm glad they have a porter for winter. I'm glad that's here.
I was like, no, he's random hazy IPA. Like, because I was like, this is what he wants to do. He knows where I'm going to go.
Nope. Bait and switch, baby. That's what I do. But yeah, I would just say, I'm glad he's here. But I only need him certain times.
Exactly. Will I have one? Of course.
Yeah.
But like, the rarity of it is what's carrying it, then more than how good is it really.
Yeah.
And so that's his thing. It's like, yeah, you were the third best player on a really good team, which means a lot. Like, you weren't a scrub, but you were also the third best player on a really good team.
Yeah.
So how much credit can you actually give somebody when it's like, yeah, you're the best player out of 10. You're the third best player out of 10, but it's like, what's left?
Yeah.
If I give, like, Wade's already getting like 30%, right?
Yeah.
And
I got my pastry stout and I've got my hazy and I'm still here. I need one more beer. Sure.
I want another beer.
Porter sounds good.
So give me
the porter.
Glimmer of Hope or whatever you want to call your beer. Like, whatever. Glimmer of Hope or whatever. And I have it and I'm like, dude, this is actually better than I thought.
Yeah. Pretty good. Memorable.
But I'm also 4 beers in. So how good is it really?
Right. Yes, exactly. All right. And then we've got a few. So the Kings don't get a lot of Hall of Fame representation out there, obviously. But this year they got 2 guys up on the ballot. Number 1, Rick Adelman as a coach.
He's in my opinion.
I mean, he's one of the best tacticianers.
Winning coach. He didn't win the whole thing. Again, he's like George Carl, right? He's
Jerry
probably
Sloan.
Shades. Yeah, 2 shades. Like, he didn't get to a ton of finals, but you were a winner when you were coaching.
Yeah.
You made it to the playoffs. You didn't get it done, but you did it like multiple times. You weren't like half the time.
Yeah.
He had a winning record, I'm pretty sure, as a coach. Like, he had like a
for sure.
So I would say yes, he's a Hall of Famer to me.
Yeah, I think he's in. I don't know about first ballot, but I think he's in. And you know what I love is that he's known for being like contentious with ownership. Here's the thing. When coaches are contentious with ownership, it's because ownership's like, hey, this guy who's great, we're going to get rid of him and we're going to replace him with somebody who's dog shit and we think we're right. He's like, you're not right.
Yeah, we need you to work with this shitty ass player that we just paid $27 million.
It's like,
he's like, yeah, but he sucks. And you're like,
fuck you, you're out of here.
Yeah, he has to play 20 minutes or else it doesn't make us any sense. And you're just like, so I'm just supposed to work with garbage here? Like,
and they're like, yeah. And if you don't, we're going to say that you're mean and hard to work with.
Yeah.
And then we're going to say, and we're going to replace you with garbage for 12 years. 15 years.
We're willing to suck to blame it all on you for 5 years.
This is Rick Adelman's fault because he's hard to work with. That's the reason we're bad. It's not because we don't make good choices. It's that he's hard to work with. So, Hall of Famer, coaches, I think they don't get in the first time, and that's fine. Rick Adelman deserves it. He won everywhere he went.
He's probably, the last of the really old school, or Spoelstra?
Yeah.
Probably is like the last of the old school.
No, Spoelstra's new school. He was very statistic driven. He was very much those like advanced statistics driven. That's why he got the job. He was new to it, but he's not an old school coach. Spoelstra was a new school coach.
That's what I'm saying. He's like on the fringe, but I would say like maybe Spoelstra, but like there's not really. So Adelman's like the last of the breed.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's nobody like Adelman anymore. That doesn't. Well, Popovich is still around. Pop's almost out.
Yeah, that's true.
Popovich is the guy.
Yeah, that's true. And what do you say about Denver's coach that we were supposed to trade for Adelman, but we were like, we'll do the Kings thing and just get rid of him.
Yeah, Michael Malone.
A lot of injuries.
Yeah, who was winning. He finally started winning with a bad lineup. They're like, well, Boogie's hurt. Get out of here.
Boogie doesn't like you, so...
No, Boogie loved him. Boogie was hurt, and they're like, we're not winning without Boogie, so therefore you gotta go. No, they like each other. Boogie was super on board with him, and he was furious when they fired him. Anyway, the Kings are dumb. Speaking of the Kings and Hall of Fame finalists, here's a name we've already mentioned on the podcast today.
No way!
Bill Russell as a coach.
That's
First
correct.
coaching job, the Kings.
Yes!
Does he get into the Hall of Fame as a coach? To be fair, here's a resume. Not particularly good winning percentage. Coached bad teams. First black coach in NBA history. Does the history outplay everything else?
No. Obviously, it means a lot. Yeah, I hate to be like patronizing like that, but it's like, no, it means a lot. Like, I don't want to give it as a crutch, but it's like, yeah, like he doesn't have any examples. And who knows how much, like, besides being a player, which obviously does not translate. seen it a million times. It does not translate. Just because you're a good player does not make you a good coach. And usually good coaches are usually point guards or something like that who know schemes, like not just like naturally skilled. So like, no, like I don't think it does. And I think that like, obviously it adds to his pantheon because he does end up winning as a coach. Yeah, it means something. It does mean something. And it was like, I think if he doesn't have that roadblock and understand what it's like to like not instantly win when he's on a team that was winning all the time, I think that does nothing but like make him like want to win more, like builds character, as we like to say, for lack of like dealing with adversity is like building character. And
he also didn't have much of a coaching career, which is still a true fact across all sports when it comes to black coaches. If you don't win, you don't get a second chance.
Much you win.
Even if you win, one losing season can cost you your entire career at it. Especially even though you can have people like white coaches can go like, I don't know, like 17 and 55, 65.
All about who you know.
And just keep being hired. So I don't think Bill Russell's in as a coach, but I think I wouldn't be hurt if he was.
No, and again, that's one of those things where it's like, I understand, like, this is a part of it, like, that's the history. Yeah, like, again, like, you get frustrated when it's like, there's guys that are, like halfway decent that are losing jobs. They're not getting chances to really, like, figure out what's wrong. And I've had that with, like, the Niners. I'm a Niner fan. After we lost Mariucci and it didn't work out after 5 years, even though he got really close, it seemed like they lost focus. They were just like, no, you're not good as Walsh, so fuck, get out of here. And it's like, no, like that dude is like one of the best coaches ever. He just got unlucky. He just got really, really unlucky. And it's like, you didn't even see that. And being at the range that you were at, that you didn't see that. And so now everybody's like, just like, yeah, it's Mariucci's fault, so we'll just get rid of him without even knowing who we're going to get next, when it's like you were doing calculated move until you don't anymore. And again, that's what happens, I think, with most franchises that don't win, is that you just get short-sighted, and you needed, like, because you see lightning in the bottle every now and then with, like, Milwaukee or whatever. And again, Milwaukee gets rid of Kidd, right? Like, Kidd turns Giannis into what he is. They just forget of what made this dude who he is. Like, you don't even give him a chance to finish the product. Or Mark Jackson with Kerr. Like, it's like it worked out for the Warriors that they changed to Kerr, but it's like that doesn't happen. Yeah. But because you see that happen once, it turns into this perpetual thing where it's like every 2 years, if you don't get it done, now you're done.
Yeah, coaching is dumb. Managements are dumb. The results now in a league that we've established only has 4 or 5 real candidates.
They're as good as me and you screaming into microphones.
Right. Let's get 2020-2021 season. I haven't said that yet. 2020-2021 season.
Oh, that's true.
Mid-season awards. We don't have a lot of time. I'm just going to go over the big ones. We're going to do MVP. Who's your vote for MVP, most improved, and defensive player of the year? Does that sound fine?
I need to hear your thoughts on Blake Griffin on the Nets, and then yes.
Okay, my thoughts on Blake Griffin on the Nets is listen to episode 1 of this season where I discussed the fact that Blake Griffin would be killer with James Harden, giving them a pick and pop killer from the elbow, from threes. He's a brilliant passing big, good rebounder, solid defender. He can't give you a lot of minutes because his knees are shot, but I think he's good on a Harden-led offense and a Harden quote-unquote led
he gets
defense.
15 points a game.
I wanted him on. I think he'd be better in Houston with the lineup they had back then than the Nets now, because they don't have anybody to back him up right now. He's a solid backup for Jeff Green and DeAndre Jordan. I love him on the Nets. I think he's going to do good in like 15 to 18 minutes a game. No more. Any more than that, you're just risking complete collapse and devalued assets. But I think him on the Nets, it's going to be killer. I think it maximizes everything about him.
It makes me mad. That's all I have to say is it makes me mad because you're right, one. And then two, I think it's an embarrassment of riches. I, again, think like everybody else, just like the stupid NFL, is that it was going to come down to Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes. And I think in this regard, it's still the same thing. It ends up LeBron James versus KD and whoever's left on the Nets that isn't hurt when it comes to the play, like when it comes to the finals. And so, and I get that's what KD's doing. He's like, hey, dude, my calf could hurt. That's why I need all these players. I need Harden. I need Kyrie. I can't wait to see the demise. Like, I'm really excited for it. I'm excited one way or the other, but there's no way that you can say like I'm happy about this. I'm not. Unless you're Brooklyn and you've never liked the Knicks and you've been waiting for something else. There's no way you're rooting for the Nets right now. There's no way.
I'm rooting for the Nets. Get him, Durant. Get him. Get him, Blake. No, get him, James. I just bring Russell Westbrook in too. Let's get those Thunder a championship. We wasted them in 2012. Let's do it. We got it. Bring the team back together. Let the Clippers and the Cavs and the Rockets all get their championships through Brooklyn.
Is that what you're gonna take? And you're gonna take that? Oh my God, Ben, don't do this to me.
Danny Manning, become the coach. Here we go. Steve Nash is gonna get a championship he never got. Look at this thing. It's nuts.
Claim this for OKC, don't you?
I'm claiming it for OKC and the LA Clippers. Let's get all of them over there.
Don't claim this for
Lloyd Vaught. This one's for you, baby.
Don't make LeBron Thanos, okay? They're not the Avengers. They're not saving the planet. They are the bad people, okay? Get it right, all right?
No, I'm right. I'm right on this. The Nets are the underdog that is there to defeat LeBron and Anthony Davis. That's what I want. I would love it. I think that's great.
Durant's going to have 3 titles, and you're going to be fine with that. None of them with the Supersonics.
Hey, man, that's low blow. Low blow. That's so
I just want to bring reality to USA.
But I'm just trying to give all those guys who couldn't get championships. You know what? Sign Charles Barkley to a one-day contract. Get Charles Barkley a championship. Get Mike Conley a championship. You know what? Just get them all in there. All these guys. Hey,
get out of here.
Sean Marion, come on in.
Get my Skip Bayless. I don't appreciate it because I don't want to be Shannon Sharp.
Look, man, I don't want to talk about this. I was going to go to the fucking MVP.
I don't want.
You back me into a corner, I'm going to scrap. That's no.
Don't make me Shannon Sharp. I don't want to.
Shannon Sharp's a gem.
Skip. Don't do that.
I mean, to be fair, we talked about it. I would love to be Shannon Sharp. You should be honored to be Shannon Sharp.
I would love to be Skip Bayless.
What? You want to be Skip Bayless?
I would take that money in a heartbeat. Do you imagine like $43 million?
To be a dipshit.
I would take that money in a heartbeat. I would be Skip Bayless for you.
Oh man, we got these roles reversed because I would love to be Shannon Sharp, and you're trying to call me Skip Bayless. Let's switch it up. I would love to be Shannon Sharp. That dude's the best.
Well, obviously, Shannon Sharp could be Shannon Sharp because he was like an NFL player, like pretty fair Hall of Famer.
Yeah, he's a Hall of Famer with the largest biceps a man has ever had.
Christ.
They're like 43 inches. They're bigger than my waist. That dude has biceps bigger than my waist, and I'm fat.
He's probably in better shape than he was when he played.
Yeah. He's got nothing else to do.
45. Like, get out of here.
I would love...
He's as old as Brady. I think he's as old as Brady.
He's older because he was playing in 94. He might have been playing 92. So he's old. He's like 53, 54. Also, his brother Sterling, one of my favorite commercial moments, when they're playing the NFL Madden game, and Sterling's like, "That was for my breakaway speed." And they're like, "Oh, our research shows you lost a step." It's one of the best commercials of all time.
Yeah. That's before ratings. That was before ratings. It's like, oh, my speed, I'm way faster than that.
Well, our research shows you've lost a step. And he throws the controller down. Great commercial. Love it. We need more of that. That don't show my breakaway speed.
So good. That's what anybody would say. That's literally what anybody would say if they were like him, Sterling Sharp, in that point where you're just like, dude, I cannot be caught. Like, how dare you think that I can be caught? Like, I need to talk to the people who made this. This is ridiculous.
All right.
All right.
Let's do mid-season awards.
Down to your things, as I like to filibuster.
Mid-season awards. I'm going to start with one of the easiest ones. Let's do Defensive Player of the Year. Who you got?
LeBron James.
Okay.
I'm not going to say why. I mean, I don't really have to, but I mean, I feel like he has played better defense than he's had to during this time, especially with Anthony Davis out. I feel like he's played better defense. This is why they're one of the top teams in the West. They could lay back and just be the 5th seed, 4th seed, whatever. He knows how good they are, but he's still playing at a top level. He doesn't know how to shut it down. He can't stop, won't stop, like P. Diddy. Like, I just like him. Like, I think he deserves it. He's not going to get it. But I think, like, easily, LeBron James, he's going to win MVP, but he's not going to win Defensive Player of the Year. But he's got my vote because it's on the fringe.
You know, your argument actually neutralizes my argument, much like my pick does. I thought my pick was a layup, and you're like, swat it away, much like Rudy Gobert would do. Rudy Gobert is my defense player.
Rudy, yeah.
Last year, he shut down the entire league.
He was great.
And this year, he's shutting down the entire league, actually playing basketball. He's
playing I agree. Yes. Me and you, oh, man. I mean, this is why we're friends. But he literally, like, played the pandemic like it was nothing, and then defensively was the worst about the whole thing, and then proceeded to dominate the league like that thereafter. Like, he's fantastic. That team is good.
Definitely.
Defense matters. You got to shoot twos sometime, and he makes sure that it's few and far between that they even basket. And I think he has the highest rate of blocks this year than anybody's at. Like, he's literally playing out of his mind.
And he's stepping out.
At a rate that's ridiculous.
He used to just be playing on the interiors, taking out those interior shots. He's moving out to the 3-point line, playing defense. It used to be embarrassing if he got out there. Now he's doing really solid. I think he's the guy to beat.
I wouldn't be surprised. I think LeBron James obviously gets undercut, but you're right. You're right. Like, he's at a higher rate than he's ever been. He's won it before. He deserves it. But I have my thing for LeBron that he deserves everything.
Right.
He deserves Space Jam 2. He deserves Space Jam 3. He deserves, I can keep going, but
All right. I threw this one in for myself. You don't have to have a pick on this one if you haven't had time to do it. But most improved player, 2020-2021.
Ooh, most improved player. It's not Buddy Hield because I hate his guts.
Anyone but Buddy Hield is a totally fine.
Hashtag anyone but Buddy Hield. Like, if you want to keep that going, fantastic.
Well, what if I said this? What if we said it was Marvin Bagley? That's bag on Bagley. It's not him. It's not him either. He's not the guy.
Trade Bagley as many as possible.
Trade him.
I would say it's Bradley Beal, actually. I would think that he's finally got his time to be the star. Like, even with Russell Westbrook, he's leading the team in points. He's leading the team in assists. He is killer guy. I can't wait for him to get somewhere else, but it just shows how much it means. Like, basketball is not masquerading as a single player sport that's masquerading as a team sport. I would say that is baseball more than it is basketball. I think basketball, you cannot win without a team. It doesn't matter what you do, how good your player is. You can have, how many times have been the MVP not been on the World Series team or championship team? Like, almost all the time. Like, it's almost never the person who was the MVP is won the championship. That's why I'm going with Bradley Beal. I think, like, that dude is one of the most, like, improved players. He's probably not going to get moved because Washington's getting tickets from having him. So they're not going to trade him away. That's why they traded for Russell Westbrook, is just to get even more ticket sales. I think he's going to end up on We thought he was going to get traded very soon.
I wish.
After the trade deadline. But I mean, we could be right, only 90% of the time.
They're making that push.
It might still happen, yeah. I think he ends up on the Lakers at some point. Like, I feel like if he doesn't do it now, will it happen during the offseason? Probably not, unless
I'm fine with that.
But I wouldn't be surprised if LeBron got restructured his deal or something.
Yeah, he's like, I'm getting old. I can't be holding up this money.
I'll take $10 million this year for like futures for like a Bobby Bonilla deal.
Yeah,
like easily have that happen where it's like, you just pay me $10 million for 20 years. I'll take less this year so we can get Bradley Beal up in here. I wouldn't be surprised if that something like that happened. Like I wouldn't, and it can happen. So I'm thinking he's going to end up on the Lakers, the Clippers, something like that in the near future. He's not going to end up on the Celtics. I don't think. Like Celtics, I think they had their time. They're just like the 76ers. They had their time.
Man,
so the window is closing.
So you came out big. I was just going to go real basic. Chris Boucher on the Raptors. Killer defense. Treys.
Great player.
Doing good. With more role, doing more with less. I love watching him. High energy. He's got a good 3-point stroke. He's 28. Yes. I just found this out. I thought he was like 24. He's 28. I love it.
He is great for what he is, especially with Siakam. I like him a lot, and I get why they wouldn't trade him or do anything with him. He's their biggest asset, no doubt. Like, because of how, even though he's not as young as we thought, like he plays big. He feels like he's learning now.
Yeah.
Like he's developing his game now, so it makes people want to use him more now than maybe before.
All right, and then the most important award of all time, the most valuable player. Who do you have? I've got a whole list, and it's a mess.
Oh, God. Jesus. I'll leave it to you because you know how I feel.
All right.
I'll give you know what I'm saying.
I'll tell you what. I'll give you my candidates. You tell me why or why not I finally chose them.
Oh, I like this. Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Let's start with the easy one. LeBron James. Do I have him as the MVP or do I not?
He's literally the best player on the planet.
Right.
I hate to be stupid Stephen A. Smith, but he's the best player.
He's the best player. But I crossed him off because they are indeed slipping in the standings without Antonio Davis. Anthony Davis? Anthony Davis. I know basketball. That's why we're doing a basketball podcast.
Antonio Davis, whatever.
I did it.
They're both players.
All right. Kawhi Leonard.
Absolutely not. Not even close. Their team is like, what, 4th in the league in the West? Like, no. He's a great player. Again, we're splitting hairs at this point. I feel like he's probably the fourth or fifth on the list.
But what about Paul George playing the best offensive game he's ever played?
Of course, but we've fallen for this before. We see how it's turned out. They didn't even make the finals, so that's going to hurt them for sure. Neither of them are going to win the MVP.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, we all know that you usually want to get your top-seeded guy in there, so let's just throw it out there. Donovan Mitchell, MVP.
I do like that. I would rather if you threw out Gobert and Mitchell
as a co-MVP
over those two, but I get what you're trying to do.
Look. You played my hand. I did want to pitch Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert as co-MVPs. I did want to have a Stockton Malone co-MVP pitch.
Donovan Mitchell is legit, and just like LeBron said in the All-Star voting, there's no way I'm picking this like somebody from the Utah Jazz as a starter. Like that's how it goes. Like it's nothing. It is, but it isn't. Right? It's like it's not racist. It's just where you're from. It's like nobody's gonna be like, oh yeah, the Utah Jazz are fucking burning shit up. Like nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
Just like the Warriors, you need to be near perfectionist for anybody to give a shit about you, and they're not there yet.
My comment, I vote Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert, LOL. It's just what I put it. I crossed him out. Just LOL. What a ridiculous idea.
But you're not wrong. He's a great player, just like we talked about with Connolly. I think these guys are good. Utah's legit.
Yeah.
They played together for years. This might be their best chance. So I'm going to say that they're in it, but who knows what they'll become. But I think that they're in it. They're in it. They're probably the fourth best team that can win the whole thing. I give them a better chance than I do the Clippers. If you want to,
they're a better team overall. Yeah, right now they're a better team overall for sure. Also, here's a candidate for MVP: Joel Embiid.
No, and obviously, R.I.P. Joel Embiid with his knee injury. I've had that. I've seen the hyperextension was real. These guys play hard all the time. He should have been. He probably would have been the Eastern Conference easily MVP. I don't think he beats out LeBron this year, but this is what LeBron has over most guys: is that this guy just not get injured. But Embiid was carrying that team like offensively and defensively.
Yep.
I'm really actually sad because it's like, again, they've had so much hype for so many years. I hated against them. I really thought this was the year that they were going to make some noise. And
never will be.
No.
All right. I got one more guy for you. Maybe I'll do two. Maybe I'll do two just to keep the wrinkle alive.
Bring it. Let's go.
Nikola Jokic.
Oh, dude. Now you tell me somebody this is probably maybe the most underrated player in the league. Not even close. Like, we talked about this before. In short, we didn't give him enough credit. Jokic is like, when we were talking about all-stars.
He's slim, he's quick.
So good. So good defensively. Unstoppable. He's the Elijah one. If you want to tell me somebody, he's the Elijah one that needs LeBron not to be there. He's going to run into LeBron, which is going to stop him from being great. But if he can stick around a couple of years, he'll get 2 championships. That guy is that good. But he'll get 25 and 20. Like, same thing in Embiid. Like, they're right there. But they have LeBron in their league at the same time. So, Donovan Mitchell, maybe Reggie Miller of the year. Like, Curry's not really because he got his. But, like, you need somebody to, like, deter him or hopefully have LeBron get injured enough down the stretch where they'll have a chance. And I just don't know. Like, LeBron, again, might play another 4 or 5 years. Like, I really don't know who's going to stop him besides Father Time. So it's like, unless they have that guy he should be an MVP. He at least should have a championship. He might end up with Dallas. Oh. He might end with Dallas. If Porzingis doesn't stay healthy, I think he could easily.
You think
end
Mark
up with
Cuban snipes him?
Oh, I think he would end up with Doncic easily.
That'd be sweet.
They can't pay.
I would love that.
Denver can't pay for everything. There's no way that they pay for both. And that's the only thing that's going to come against them is that they don't have enough success to pay for both. They're running into both of those guys at the same time, so somebody's got to go. So do you think you get rid of the big guy or you get rid of the Murray? I think they get rid of the big guy. He ends up with Doncic. They win a championship.
I don't think they actively get rid of him. I think they realize they can't keep him. But that's whatever. That's splitting hairs. It's splitting hairs.
Choose between Murray and Jokic. What do you do?
I mean, I would go Jokic, but that's me. I mean, look.
We're old school though.
But okay, and big men don't hold up over the years. Guards do, but
Europeans do.
Yeah. I mean, you could put Arvydas Sabonis on a court today, and he would clean up. And then one more pick for the MVP on my end, James Harden.
How dare you?
He's almost averaging triple-double. Well, at least one of his teammates is always gone.
Get out.
He just got Blake Griffin in there.
You know why? You know why it's not going to happen is because you have 3 other All-Stars who also score points.
They have 2 other All-Stars who also score points.
Even though, again, I get that he has not played with Kevin Durant that often, there's no way he wins MVP votes. There's no way because they're going to say his team's too good.
That's what I think.
With a worse team, and he's doing the same numbers that he did with the worst team, he's not going to get that.
Yeah, I think with what I've said, I think Jokic actually gets it. But I do want to add bonus points to James Harden for that A+ fat suit in Houston. I think that puts him. It's going to push him over the top.
Santa Claus. It was amazing. It was amazing. He was a trading block, as I said earlier. He was shaped as such. He didn't care, and yet he basically did like the keto diet for 15 days, and he looks just like James Harden as he used to. Very fit, very delicious.
Yeah.
Full of assists, full of points, doing all the right things. He's amazing. Yeah. He's amazing. I hate him. That team should lose, but they'll probably win. They will probably win because they have enough. Even if somebody gets hurt, they're going to make it happen. That's what Durant wanted is when he went to the Warriors is to build the Warriors type thing, but something a little bit better that if somebody got hurt, they could still win anyway. And that's what he learned from. And that's what he's become. It's like, again, LeBron evolved it. And then he's evolved it from the Warriors, and this is where we are now.
I also want to point out that if Johnny Depp had as good a fat suit as James Harden did when Johnny Depp was in Blow would have been an Oscar award-winning film. But instead, it was clearly a pillow in his stomach, and it was like it took me out of the movie. It's like, this is a great movie. This last 10 minutes, this is clearly a pillow. Where's your budget? Give this man a fat suit. All right.
There's been plenty of fat suits. Oh, my God. We can go down the pantheon. That's another podcast. We can literally go down the pantheon of fat suits. Why didn't you tell me? That could be an episode over there.
Yeah, fat suits, PHAT fat suits. We can compare fat suits to fat suits.
Obviously, PHAT.
Yeah, compare the two. Fat suits to fat suits. All right, we got 2 segments we got to do on every episode. Let's just power through them. Canning Treys. 3 beers worth finding this week at your local brewer.
Yes. My first one is Strata's Vision by Moonraker. Obviously in our area. But they also make fantastic pale ales too on top of IPAs. They do really good stuff. Like their Hall of Fame hits, like all their Crush series and stuff like that are great. This is a good
Dojo.
Yeah, pale ale is great. Try it. Stratavision, find it, go.
All right, great. So my one, it's Women's History Month. So let's pick a woman-owned, woman-brewed beer. Also, delicious beer.
How dare you make me look like an asshole?
You're an asshole, Phil. Also, I'm going to go with a nice, beautiful Helles lager. I'm going to go with Hella Sun from Crooked Lane.
There you go, Jeff.
It's so good.
We need to stop. I mean, we're really giving them too much pub. We're not getting even sponsored by them, but they are killing the game.
I mean,
in beer. Like, just most things, whether it's IPA, brown. I think I brought up pretzel beer before. Yep. Like it's so good. Like most of their stuff they make, it's not IPAs. They're just killing it, but they're killing on everything. Check them out. They're amazing. They're doing good things. Get them. Yes, women power. Let's go. Phil's not a dick.
Right. And so I think our shared one. I don't know. We didn't discuss it off air. Evil3, we are drinking. That's kind of what I was thinking. But let's face it, it's clearly triple IPA season. What's the triple IPA people should be out there seeking? What is the triple IPA that you are recommending?
Well, mine is obviously what we talked about. It's like another beer. It's, again, readily available. Get it while it's hot. It's really good. Get it while it's fresh. Evil3. We're drinking it right now during this podcast. It's delicious. Like, it's really delicious, easy to drink, or has drank. Like, it's already been drunk by my boy Ben here. But it's like, it's delicious. It's really underrated triple IPA. They bring it to the bistro event. They don't change it, really, I think, as far as I know. I don't have insider information. But they bring the same beer all the time. They're doing their thing. They're making really good. They just make really, really good beers. Like Heretic is old school. They've done things a while the same way. They even do a hazy.
Oh man, so good.
Like get on them. They're trying to adhere to what's going on now in the trend. So If you guys love beer, check out Heretic.
They make everything so good. It's so good. Everything they make is so good. Hazies, IPAs, pale ales, the hazelnut porter, the barrel-aged stuff. They're killing it.
Good.
They're loving it. All right, let's get out of here with an Is It the Gueuze, our dunk of the Fortnight. What's your favorite dunk of the Fortnight? Is it the Gueuze?
Is it the Gueuze? Why don't you start? Because, I mean, you're so excited about this. I was excited about the canning trays. You're excited about the dunks. Let's make it happen. We'll see if I agree. I'm pretty sure I will.
Yeah, there's not a lot of basketball going on with the All-Star break. And I think I texted you about this immediately. Cassius Stanley, first dunk, NBA dunk All-Star Game dunk contest.
Ugh.
It's beautiful. It's
beautiful.
It's a shoot to yourself, rise up, throw it between the legs, hammer it home dunk. It had everything. It had this guy, perfect lob to himself, gets air, he gets height, he gets hang time for days, goes across the rim, is fading away, and slams it down with his left hand after going between the legs for the dunk. It was beautiful, and they gave it a 44. That's not even an average of 9. Not even an average of 9.
Not even 45. Not even fucking 45. And on top of that, it was probably the best dunk of the entire night.
The entire night. It set the stage, and nobody cared.
The entire night. It drove me nuts. This is what happens in the NBA contest, and then the next year we always say, do we just get away with it? Do we just do anything because nobody's doing anything anymore? This was the dunk. It should have won. He should have won because he had the best dunk the whole night. They don't do it that way. It doesn't make any sense. I don't know what they wanted. Did they?
I don't know if they wanted either.
Did they want him to fire fireworks out of his ass as he did it? Because that's the only thing he could have done that would have been different than the dunk that he did.
Yeah.
Everything else was amazing. He did it flawlessly on the first try, which doesn't get enough credit anymore.
Yeah.
Like, because you can do anything you want in the first 15 seconds or whatever. So it just, again, blows my mind. Blows my mind. This is not even like Aaron Gordon territory. This is just plain robbery. This is the Saints game with the pass interference. It didn't make any sense. He should have won the dunk contest. Everybody was mad at it. They did so many tweets and so many memes about it. It was horrible. It was horrible, horrible, horrible. It fell asleep after that point because nobody could make a dunk.
Yeah.
And you should have just been like, you know what? That was the best dunk I saw.
Yeah. And it definitely got in his head. He's like, what do you want from me? This was brilliant. I don't know what you want. And it got in his head because he's not even a...
Yes. So now I have to bounce it somewhere else.
What do I have to do? What do I have to do to impress you? What do I have to do to impress you? It's like, that was, if you're looking at what you want a dunk, you want power, you want athleticism, and you want elegance, and he gave you all of it, and you're like, 44.
Yes. I want a complete dunk that seems like who's doing that normally?
I know no one's watching this live stream anymore, but I'm throwing my notes. I'm so mad about it. And I want it to be seen.
Who's doing that normally? This is the thing that drives me nuts. Is like, who's doing that and saying like, oh, I could just do that. Yeah. Like, if you're going to give it a 44, you go do it.
Go do it.
That being done.
Daryl Dawkins, we're calling you out.
Get out of your suit, put on some fucking shorts real quick, and you fucking do that.
Spud Webb, get out there and do it.
If you're going to judge and give it a 44, which is there's like some heat in there.
That's there's like if a player went and took a shit on the floor, they'd give it a 46. That's a 46 in the dunk contest.
That's
and
what
I'm saying. No, this is a 44. Fuck you. That's so look, Julius Erving, you are an institution. Your hair is great. Your play is great. That layup is ridiculous. You're a Hall of Famer with reason. You're a champion with reason. You can't judge dunk contests anymore. Everybody who's on that dais is not allowed to judge a dunk contest.
You literally took it with one hand and did this. You don't get to judge and tell somebody that's a 46. If you're just
44.
Doing this. Like, that dude literally put it through his fucking legs.
Well, going away from the basket.
What are you talking about?
His eyes were level with the rim for like 3 seconds.
This is literally filled from the... I will yell. I will scream for 30 minutes about this if you wanted to. One of the guys who made one of the best dunks of the night, because he did it as his first dunk, gets penalized and doesn't win the whole thing at all. He's not even in the championship. Like, what are you talking about?
Get out. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks so much for listening to...
Thank you for checking us out. We had so much fun. I can't wait to do it again.
So before we get out of here, you can follow us across social media at Instagram at Please Dunk Responsibly, at Twitter at PlizDunkPod, PLZ Dunk Pod. Get your podcast wherever you get. Tell your friends about it. Sign into our GMs. Tell us about the teams you want us to compare to breweries, players to beers, beers to players. Just let us know what you want and we'll give it to you. But for now, we got to get out of here. So I've been your host, Ben Rice.
And I'm Phil Webster.
Reminding you to please dunk responsibly.